without the knowledge of the student. Theoretically, personal teachers, they don't do this is the problem, but the good ones do. And the good ones do get better, but I agree that the bad ones just get worse. But personalize the curriculum to the students, knowing what kind of student it is. Of course, with software, theoretically, you have thousands of options, and you could self-personalize it.
Well, look, we know that the basic bottom line is just knowing a class of things, all right? You got to know certain math, sciences, a little bit about literature. You got to know a little bit about vocabulary. You got to know about history, geography of the world. I mean, it's really not fucking goddamn brain science. I mean, it almost amazes me when I think back to actually how much time I wasted in school and how trivial it all fucking was. I mean, we should have learned everything you learned in school. You probably should have learned in one fucking year, right?
Teach a little bit of brain science.
Well, I'm just saying there's so little of it. Just think how little you really learned. 12 fucking years of imprisonment, and I'm saying 12 years of imprisonment for a few algebra theories?
Well, Gary, you're in a privileged society. Maybe you don't, I mean, don't you know this is a truism that school is there to teach people how to go to factories all day. If you stimulated their brains all day, they wouldn't learn how to sit in a boring-ass factory.
Well, I wish they would have just put me in the fucking factory. I would have really liked to go to the factory every day. I mean, fuck, that would have kicked ass. I really hated going to that shithole with those insane people all over the place.
Especially if there was an incentive that you get paid doing it.
Exactly. Then I wouldn't have been fucking sticking matchstick. You know what I did in most of my classrooms? I sat there and chewed on matches, threw them at the ceiling, and made them stick. Okay? So yeah, I always sat in the back of every class, and if you look, I mean, I probably have some old pictures of our high school, and I could probably show you my 670,000 matchsticks stuck to the ceiling. That's what I did in fucking school.
Look, my argument is that we still need teachers because otherwise we would have everything on software and Puro would be programming that shit and he will...
Well, I already said videos.
Interpretations. Everybody would be talking quantum mechanics because, you know, he will slide that in somehow and, yeah.
Well, yeah, we never said there wouldn't be teachers, though. I mean, there would still be the tutors for those that need them.
And there would still be the teachers. There would be the best teachers in the world, right? We put out a $300,000 bounty out for the best high school biology teacher, the best high school history teacher, the best high school English teacher, right? We're paying $300,000 to get the best in the country. And we put them in our little fake high school with our little fake classroom, and we videotape every word they say. I mean, how can that be fail?
Learning is interactive.
Well, there's 30 kids in the room with that teacher. They're going to be asking questions that a common kid would ask. So most of the frequently asked questions, haven't you saw those? There's lots of frequently asked question pages on the internet, right? So all the frequently asked questions would be asked and answered. So we would cover the bases.
It would determine on what biases of the teachers would be acceptable or not.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying we'd have the best teachers in the country, okay? Incredibly charismatic, incredibly motivating, they're wearing double bow ties. I mean, that's how fucking cool as teachers they are. They're wearing a double bow tie, all right? They are just completely kick-ass.
Who grades the essays?
Yeah, newsflash. Fuck essays. You take the test, okay? There's a test. You either pass it or you fail it. So you can take it as often as you want to, because each test is a little bit different. And until you pass it, you failed it. Okay? Period.
Okay, what you do, Lexi, what you do is you let professional organizations develop competency tests. And that works even for the abstract disciplines because, you know, you have the Academy of Sciences
Well, look, let's just say, look, hey, Pyro, shut up. Look, we know that this whole 1 through 12 grade thing is a completely arbitrary, bullshit, antiquated structure. It means absolutely nothing. It wasn't invented for any purpose, blah, 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 blah. So you don't need a yearly test. You don't need a grade level test. But let's just say you had 3 tests, okay? A, B, and C. You get the money when you pass C test. B test will let you know what level you're at. Okay, so if you pass a B test, that means you're 70% on the road to the C test. Okay, so then the student knows where their limitations are, where their lackings are, where they have to work harder, all of that crap. But the point is, you don't need to test people every 3 weeks. You don't need to take their temperature. Okay, the game is they have to absorb the information. They'll either do it or they won't. I mean, lawyers take a bar examination. It's a perfectly functional way to test whether the lawyer has acquired sufficient knowledge of the law. And that's all you're doing. You're just testing whether they're good enough.
I would definitely advocate for this. I went through the school system and I actually dropped out. I did online classes. I emailed my teacher with questions. I had paper modules with me. I could do self-test. It worked.
Stop you from using Google to get your answers.
Yeah, well, whatever. Fuck Google.
Well, I still think Piero will find a way to mess everything up. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be hung on the Piero factor. Okay, so I'll just say we'll write that into the Constitution. Piero can have nothing to do with it. He has to stay on Hawaii 5-0 or something, Dano. We won't let him off the island.
I would do good software, but you know, it would end up promoting relativism, because part of the way the system would work is
Pyro's talking irrelevant crap again. Watch Pyro say something preposterous and stupid. Because he's from Hawaii, where everybody's a retard because they all got lead in their fucking pineapples.
Are you high?
I've been high since 1943, yes.
Why do you do that kind of shit when I'm agreeing with you? You hate to be agreed with, don't you?
You were talking about relativism, and I cannot stand that fucking shit! So I said, what the hell, I'm going to sing the Hawaiian 5-0 song. Do 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 do. It's like a lot of criminals in Hawaii.
Well, you wouldn't call it relativism, but think of it as non-relativism in the fact that you have two organizations that have two different views of something, and some student chooses to work for accreditation with one organization or with another, and it's going to change the kind of jobs they can get, and I think that that's healthy, but it's relativism.
Whatever.
Hey, bro.
Oh, why, you don't think I'm musical, bitch? You used to hear me play the trumpet. Yes, that was the fucking grand instrument the high school taught me. The trumpet. It was so useful later in life.
Me too, I did the trumpet. I could play any notes I wanted if I did it just in time, I found out, with 2 rows of trumpets.
Oh yeah, I was there. I could play Red River Valley. That's it. Red River Valley. I could play Red River Valley. And Pomp and Circumstance, because I had to play at the graduation, so I had to learn how to play Pomp and Circumstance.
I don't know about you dorks, but I played the drums, so I was kick-ass.
Well, I could never play anything, so I appreciate anybody who can play something. So if I see you next to a trumpet, you're pretty much getting laid. I mean, it just happens.
Oh, cool. I'm going to get my bugle out, because I'm really kick-ass on a bugle. I'm even better on a bugle. I can play taps. Beautiful song.
I'm still
Yeah, well, I actually played at like a thing when those veteran guys, they had a thing, and I actually played taps. Pretty cool.
I'm still recovering from the Wi-Fi though singing actually. I'm still recovering from that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's pretty, pretty fucked up show when you think about it. We were actually watching a primetime show about crime in Hawaii. I mean, how fucked up is that? I mean, what? Somebody stole somebody's pineapple, right? I mean, what the fuck could be going on in Hawaii? And what was that show anyway? How come they needed a bunch of American cops, right? And all the Hawaiians were all like flunkies. They were all like slaves. Yeah, Dano. Yes, Mr. Dano. Whatever you say, Mr. Dano. I mean, the Hawaiians are like all retarded. They couldn't even come up with like a Hawaiian guy who's the head cop in Hawaii.
Domestic abuse is really popular.
Yeah, that show was really racist.
No, I mean in real life, that's one of our most popular crimes. There was
Yeah.
a guy that killed his wife with a hammer down on the bayfront, but on the other hand, the people down there, when he tried to drive away, they mobbed his car and blocked his car and swarmed him.
Yeah, threw pineapples at it. Yeah, well, pineapple's full of cocaine.
Boar teeth.
Coconuts kill more people than sharks.
Well, that's a good factoid, isn't it? That's a pretty cool factoid. Do you know that pineapples kill more people than sharks? I thought it was coconuts. Coconuts are always falling on people's heads, but how do you fucking die from a pineapple? What do you trip over a pineapple and your face falls into a pineapple?
A coconut! It's a coconut, it falls from 30 feet under
Oh,
your
okay,
head.
well, you didn't say coconut, you said pineapple, you drunk, you goddamn silly fucking relativistic drunk, you said fucking goddamn pineapple. You said pineapple.
No, I did not. Well, I hope you're recording it.
I may be doing that. Yes, the red light is on.
I might have said a coconut.
Yeah, you might have. Okay, somebody says,
Coconut, you heard pineapple.
well, somebody else disagrees, so there's somebody on my side.
Well, I'm right. Don't choose on my side.
Well, Willie, you're wrong. The other guy's
Still
right.
very side. But I'll stand for the truth.
Oh, well, you're lying.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's probably on the camera, probably, unless there's some sort of accident and my camera falls on its laptop and I lose that segment. But it's possible there's evidence of it.
You know, pineapples are clones. Pineapples are clones.
Try being a pineapple worker. Try being a pineapple worker. They're not harmless. They suck.
Well, what? Picking pineapples ain't so bad. I mean, it beats the hell out of like harvesting lettuce or
We have a lot of farmers
something.
market people, and pineapples are a popular product. It's fine. Pineapples are lovely to take care of.
I just put that on Twitter that coconuts kill more people than sharks, not eat more people.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good fact. I saw that like in a movie. There was a famous movie being made, and one of the actors got hit by a coconut. And they had to wait like a whole month, to recover from coconut damage.
Coconut damage.
It's really bad because you move here from the mainland, And you go to the beach and you're like, I will sit under the tree. That's what I always do. And then you lie down and you look up and there's like these bombs, these death
Yeah, well,
bombs
people don't realize how
hanging
big a
over the
coconut
solid
is.
beach.
I mean, a coconut is a big motherfucker before it turns into one of them little things. It's got this big, giant, hard shell on it, and it's really heavy. I mean, they weigh like 30 pounds or something.
Yeah, no, it's like 3 times bigger. It's like 3 times bigger, and yeah, and it's hard to sell. It's not as hard as that little nut inside, but it's hard enough, you know, coming fast. But anyway, yeah, it is a true fact in Hawaii. We lose more, and especially tourists, which is the funny part.
Well, the funny part is there's more tourists in your friggin'
By the way,
state than
come
there are
Hawaii.
people. Yeah, right, because that's all you got is tourists. You don't got any people. You know, it's not like you have an economy.
We have, yeah, we don't have many people, but we have military bases.
ABC store and
Yeah,
stuff.
big ones. We got a super Safeway and even a Target recently. So nobody's going to Walmart now. Except for all the assholes.
It's Old Navy there as well.
Ah, there we go. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's good. Good music. I like it. Dun, 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 dun. That's what we need. We need TV shows with real music.
Gary, I have my little time code tool and I use my AdSense account. Do you think that is it wrong to like try to support a software project with ads? I don't remember. Do you have ads on Do Not God? If you do, I don't notice because I ignore ads. But.
Yeah, no, I don't have any AdSense. I have an AdSense account, but it's 15 years old. Or whatever, 12 years old. Something like that. I should try to reactivate it. This is like some sort of legacy account or something. It might have a bonus. But anyway, yeah. Well, so yeah. I'm just waiting to see if that tool is going to be accessible to regular people, or if it's just something you have to do through Google. I mean, what good is it if I have to do it through Google?
Well, right now I have it so that there is no password, but there's a way to have it like a category. It could be a secret, like by obscurity, nobody would know it kind of thing. And you could always use that. Other than that, yeah, I was planning to just use the Google login. Why? You were want to not use Google login? Because I can do my own login. But Google login has some advantages. You don't know any of their personal. You do know their email, and that's it.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything with Google. So I'd rather you just turn the code into universal code. I mean, you should be able to access the same shit without doing it through Google directly. Good night, Lefty. If you're really
well, the thing is,
leaving, hopefully.
I'm sensitive to making it general, and I actually even use this server called Cherry Pie at first. Right now I am using the Google servers more directly, but it'd be pretty easy to change to another one. And like using another video service besides YouTube, I'm already looking at the Flow Player. I noticed you use the Flow Player. It looks pretty mature and good. You can do all the same stuff with it, so my interface will work with it. But I do use the Google database, so I need some other, there's other database systems, but Google's offering all that stuff for free that normally you have to pay 10, 20 bucks a month, to play with, and it's really high quality stuff. I mean, it could be moved to some other service, but I am using, YouTube and Google application engine right now.
Well, I'm just saying you don't have to use the app engine, is all I'm saying. So you could make the tool and it could be fully functional and still use it.
No, I don't. I actually don't. I've used all kinds. I've used Cherry Pie and that and Django and a bunch of different ones. So, including non-Python ones.
Well, the weird thing I noticed.
What I'm doing is so similar.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get stuck in a whole bunch of obscure programming stuff that'll bore everybody to pieces. But one thing I did notice, if you click, during a video, if you just right-click on the pause bar, there's an option to copy the location. So you can copy any location, the URL for any location by just right-clicking on the bar. And so that's sort of interesting to me. I mean, it's obviously pretty accessible if I can pull it up just by doing a right click on the Flash player. But I'm just saying it was sort of interesting because I said, well, here I can almost do the same thing because I could just capture the times in my clipboard and then just paste them into an application like yours. I could just paste 5 times into it and, you know, have it automatically turn those into links.
Oh, that's interesting. So really I should have an edit box where you can paste more than one time code so you don't have to like type the times into 2 different edit boxes. I should have like the equivalent of a transcript entry thing.
Well, I'm just saying is that they're pretty easy to grab, which is all I'm saying is that I didn't realize how easy they were to grab just by right clicking on the Google Player.
I didn't know that either, yeah. But my player right now, you have a start and an end time, so when you play the clip, it'll actually end at the time. So it'll also be easy to like make a player that has a list of them and plays them out of time. One problem though is that the YouTube player, have you ever like played with the seek bar on a YouTube player a lot and clicked around and then drug it somewhere and then clicked around? It gets really confused. So my app can cause that. That's the only problem. But other than that, it can easily, yeah, you can do anything with the YouTube player. It's amazing. I mean, when it goes on to the subsequent video, you can. One thing I'm concerned about is like the AP videos don't play the interstitial ad, the one that comes up in your face, which is great, but I don't know, YouTube might not like it if people are making alternate interfaces. If for some reason it doesn't do the interstitial
Well, they don't
ad,
care because yeah, if you embed the video, the ads don't come up either. So they're pretty comfortable without playing those ads in any other format. So
the banners, the in-viewer banners come up.
yeah, well, that's why I sort of like
the
embedding
version
them
of
for
it.
that reason. I just sort of like embedding the videos on another server just to avoid all of that crap because you avoid all of that when they are embedded videos. But you can still access all the features, so that's why I sort of like embedding. But I did notice that about Blog TV too. You can, if you embed somebody's Blog TV player, which I'm going to do with like yours, Karina, and you know all these other people, I'm going to make one web page that has them all embedded. Because if they're embedded, there's no ads and there's no bullshit. You know, you're automatically play, no ads play. It's really convenient, and you can automatically see on the player whether the person's live or not. So it's really it's so much better than the regular Blog TV site where you have all those ads and all that crap. I mean, it runs so much better on a different web page as an embed.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention because I generated this entire controversy with my statement that coconuts kill more people than sharks, because some people now say that coconuts are evil, some people say that coconuts don't have teeth, some people say that they would rather swim with coconuts, and people were asking me what's my source, and I said Puro, and now they're asking what's a Puro, and I just cannot think of a proper definition. I don't know, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Hello, my grandfather was half Hawaiian, and I'm an awesome source for Hawaiian information. So you just
yeah, awesome source. yeah, right.
I am the best.
Lance
source.
Feel. Yeah, yeah.
You want to know a little bit about King Kamehameha? I'll tell you. Wait, let me look up. Wait, I gotta go on Wiki.
How long since the last virgin? How long since the last virgin? How long since the last virgin was fed to the shark god?
I don't think they did that here.
Oh yes, they did.
No.
Yes. They're doing it all the time. Laguna Paluna or something. He used to throw the virgins in there and let the sharks eat them.
So Gary, what would you do with $12 billion? If you had $12 billion a month to spend on the United States infrastructure, what would you spend it on?
A big, gigantic steamroller.
Okay, what about you, Chris? What would you spend $12 billion a month for Romanian infrastructure? That would be ridiculous. you guys would have like everything would be made out of gold or something. It's not that big.
Coconuts. We have no coconuts here. I mean, that would reduce the population, the overpopulation problem.
They're killers.
Just more coconuts.
Oh, that's not.
Exactly.
That's not a serious answer. Seriously, what would you do if you had $12 billion a month to infrastructure? What would you do? $12 billion a month, and you have to spend it all.
Shoes. Shoes. I would put up a shoe store. But no, look, seriously, it's a question you got to think about. I mean, no one wants to even think about it because it's kind of depressing. But you really have to think about it. I mean, there's so many ways you don't want to throw the money away. So you really have to think about, like, oh yeah, what would I do? Have to be a long-term thing, maybe an energy thing, you know.
Well, first, I mean, it would have to be the hospitals because, I mean, there's this entire irony because we are building this huge cathedral. It costs some $6 million, something of that sort, and at the same time we're closing down hospitals. There's only one working hospital in my freaking city right now. And all the towns, the small towns around it, and the villages and such have to come here because all the hospitals are getting shut down because of lack of funding. So that would be the first thing.
Hey, where's Gary at? I got something real important to say to him.
He can hear you.
Hey, Gary, I'm sitting in a white van on my laptop in front of your house.
Alright, Gary, oops, Gary is back. Thank you. I do have shame. Can't think exactly what it would be right now, but I'm probably ashamed of something.
Somebody just said they're sitting in a white van in front of your house. I doubt it.
Yeah, well, what's the weather doing? Gonna have to look it up.
I never heard that question being asked in that way. What's the weather doing?
Yeah, well, I'm learning how to speak Romanian. Yeah, we were not talking about the weather. I was just asking to verify whether he knew what the weather was outside in the van. Oops. Or whatever, doesn't matter. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm making coffee, so I should be alright soon. Shitty American coffee. It's gonna be super shitty.
Very quiet this morning.
like not even, it's like second time around coffee. Like I made coffee yesterday and now I'm just putting water through the old coffee. See if I can suck any more coffee out of the coffee. So it should be an excellent cup of coffee. Super swampy.
It's not that bad. I've done it.
I think it's because of that refilling thing. I mean, we don't have that thing here where you go to some restaurant or pub or whatever and you buy a coffee and then you get free refills. I think that's why it sucks so bad, because it's basically free. You can get 10 cups of coffee for the price of one.
Yeah, well, maybe it's what you're putting in it. You know, maybe we just don't have the same kind of additives to the coffee or something. But I mean, you know, the coffee here isn't that bad. I mean, I used to, you know, I remember at the restaurant, it was pretty damn good coffee. I mean, it definitely, you know, charged you pretty good. Caffeine was pretty good. It's just coffee. I mean, it's, you know, pretty good coffee.
You've never heard of free coffee refills? Well, I had that every place I went to in the US, from Las Vegas to New York. Everywhere there were free refills, but it tasted so bad. I mean, the first time I tasted it, I was like, ah, and then she came, would you like a refill? Oh, no thanks. No, no.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, well, how do you take your coffee? I mean, maybe it's just the stuff you're putting in it. I mean, you don't drink coffee black, do you? I mean, we do have that, like, that fake cream stuff, and there's, like, fake shit and fake sugar, and, you know, so maybe it's just the shit you're putting in it that sucks.
Decaf sucks as well.
I don't understand the point of decaf. You're having coffee but not having coffee. I mean, what's the point in that?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Exactly.
It's really retarded.
Stinks
Yeah.
as well.
Well, whatever, it's not that bad. I actually like instant coffee, let me tell you the truth. I even got some shit, it was like, I don't know, it's like Asian or something. It's like instant coffee with already got the cream and the sugar in it. It's like really, it's just so easy. But it's not that bad.
I like to make myself, I call it frappe. I don't know how it's called in America, but it's where basically cold coffee, where you have instant coffee and sugar and just a bit of boiling water, and then you put ice cream in it and some milk and some cream on top, whipped cream, and it's awesome.
Yeah, well that's like a milkshake or something. Coffee, it's like a mocha milkshake or something. Not really coffee.
You want to try an iced mocha, that's really nice. You got the chocolate and the coffee mixed together. It's, you know, the chocolate takes the edge off the coffee, you know. Really nice.
You know, ice cream in
Irish
coffee
coffee.
is pretty good. I mean, I have to admit, but I don't do the ice cream thing anymore. But, yeah, I did like ice cream in my coffee. Mm.
I had no idea what Irish coffee is. The first time I drank Irish coffee, I was 15 years old. And I was like, oh my god, this is so good. And I had some 4 cups of it in a course of 1 hour because it was just so good, and then I got drunk. I had no idea that they put alcohol in it. And you cannot really taste the alcohol. It tastes like something good. I don't know.
Yeah, Kahlua is kind of like that for me. I don't really know that it's got any alcohol in it, so it's really easy to drink too much of it. But enough coffee conversation. I'll have to go get my coffee, and then I'll be done with coffee. Ugh. All right, well, bore yourself to death while I'm gone.
People are still made from pineapple.
If Ray Comfort thinks the banana proves God exists, I think the coconut proves he doesn't exist.
Oops. Alright, back to work.
I can actually imagine Piero saying something like that. The pineapple wants me to eat it. I mean, I don't know, at some point he was arguing that, I don't know what, rocks have free will or something of some sort. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and eggs, you know, eggs are trying to get pregnant.
We have no control over our actions. Come on, we can't be held responsible.
Yeah, I mean, too, you gotta do what the egg says. It's got an egg head. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, somebody actually said that on my Facebook, that the coconut only kill the tourists. It's like a discrimination thing. God, the chat is going crazy.
Well, anyway, yeah, back on coconuts though. Coconuts are pretty interesting, you know, biologically. I mean, it is kind of, it's an interesting life cycle, you know, because they don't germinate, you know, until they have, you know, floated around in the ocean for a couple of years. And some of them are really eccentric. I mean, it's like 10 years, they have to be driftwood for 10 years before they'll germinate as a seed. So, I mean, some of that gets kind of interesting, because you just figure, well, what would the evolutionary advantage be for a seed to be so dependent on such a long life cycle? Yeah, I know, but spreading across the ocean isn't going to do the domestic population of coconut trees much good. So why would the trees on a given island have an incentive to send their coconuts to another island? So it still has to be to the advantage of the domestic coconut trees too to do it. No, swallows don't carry coconuts. That's a Monty Python lie.
Yeah, people are fucking insane. So somebody started arguing that coconuts don't have penises and sharks have penises, so coconuts are just evil, and somebody just mentioned Jupiter's cock again. It's like the newest, biggest theme ever, meme.
Yes, coconuts float. Yeah, I don't know. Coconut, it's a lot of work to get to the fruit of a coconut. And I don't know. I don't know if it's that many calories. So it's going to be a hard life living on a coconut. Probably a pretty good protein source, though, I imagine. So maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it's a lot of calories, I don't know. Yeah, well, Gilligan's Island, you know, couldn't they like catch fish or something? It does seem like it's kind of good they were doing the vegetarian thing, but, you know, why couldn't they catch fish? I mean, they had a lagoon, plus, you know, the ocean. You think they would have, like, eaten all kinds of things, you know, crabs and other stuff. Oh, don't bring up that damn elephant. Don't do that. Yeah, I love people, you know, they actually think an elephant would paint a picture of an elephant holding an umbrella. I mean, that's the elephant's self-image. Yes, I'll paint an elephant holding an umbrella. It's such a proud image for us elephants. And maybe he could even balance on a little round ball. Yeah, that would even be more dignified.
That's a good point. They don't talk about how the elephant was fucking beaten in order for it to paint that goddamn picture.
Yeah, it's just so irritating that people just don't get it. Some asshole even brought that up in one of my videos, Karina. You remember that arsenic microbe? Somebody actually brought it up in the comments on a video again. You know how, oh, they have a new life form that lives on arsenic. And you're like, oh, God, you fucker.
That's NASA for you.
What are we talking about? Things that no longer exist?
I don't know. We were talking about coconuts for some dumb reason. Stupid fucking pyro came in the room and started talking about fucking coconuts. Everybody is
coconuts have just as much a chance of returning to orbit as NASA does.
Ah, there you go. Maybe we gotta put coconuts in space. Coconuts in space.
I think the professor from Gilligan's Island could accomplish that. NASA should hire him.
Well, I did like him, to tell you the truth. He was the only thing. He was the only thing that made the show watchable. You know, except for Mary Ann. That was it.
Hey Gary, is there anything interesting in the news, your side, stateside?
I don't know. I think a bunch of army men got killed, which is good. Yay! Some of our army men got killed. Yay! That was good news. Fuckers.
Yes, there have been some interesting developments in American news that are sure to impact the globe. U.S. credit rating has been downgraded to an AA+, meaning that U.S. currency is probably not going to be the primary oil trading currency for very much longer, and it's also going to affect the value of the euro. We're going to see the yuan, the most powerful world currency, very shortly. In 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, it's probably why we're in Libya. But yes, it is all quite disgusting. I don't see how it matters that we're buying all our own bonds anyway. No one's really buying them. You know, we just force some institutions to buy them, but no real people are buying them.
The yuan Adderall apocalypse is intentionally undervalued. Their currency value is deflated by manipulating the market. This is one of the real powers of state capitalism. This allows them to trade their goods as well as use their goods in industrial development for a lot cheaper. It benefits the Chinese economy.
Yeah, except really, there's a price they're paying for that, though. I mean, it is absolutely silly, the stuff you can buy from China, and somehow they can afford to ship it to you. You know, you send them 68 cents, and, you know, you furnish your living room. I mean, it's insane.
Here's the thing about that, though. The U.S. has major tariffs on importing goods from China. You can only afford to do this. It's only economical if you're a big business. I mean, a massive business. A small company wouldn't manufacture anything in China. Pay 300–400% the cost of manufacturing or shipping their goods just to the U.S. government.
Well, I know. I'm just going by like the eBay sales and stuff. You can buy a ton of shit from China for nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, you couldn't mail it. I couldn't mail stuff to Pennsylvania for what they charge to send it from China. Oh, anyway, where were we? Oh, how's Boyd doing? Did you get married yet and all that kind of crap? Sounds like an evil idea.
All said and done.
Oh. Any pictures?
No cameras were allowed. We tried to keep the paparazzi away.
Damn it. Alright, come on, people, we need a subject and such. Yeah, I can't really talk about Fukushima because I haven't been paying any attention. My evil.
Yeah, Gary, they were trying to do the tax cut thing over here as well, the 50% tax bracket on the rich. They was trying to reduce it to 45, and basically the Labour said, fuck that, we want to give it to the poor instead, which I thought was okay.
Yeah, well, the fact that it even gets voted on is so ludicrous that you're just saying how doomed you really are. I mean, it's just amazing people still fall for that shit. Oh yeah, if you make the rich people richer, that's going to make our lives a lot better. Yeah, Joffrey is. It's a joke. I didn't say that the only one should be procreating. I don't think you have to be rich. I'm just saying you have to be able to pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, you shouldn't have kids. Oh, what a horror. I'm saying that people living in a fucking cardboard box or some teenager living in their basement shouldn't be having children. Oh, the horror, the horror. frankly, I would have I'd rather had no parents. More the worse.
Oh yeah, how was your folks then, Gary?
Old.
Hey, did you see that Kat is her name? Existentialist Kat? Or I don't know her real name, but she made another video about God. The last video you replied to was like 2 years ago, and it was God.
Oh dear. I figured it was bad news, so yeah. Yeah, she's going all wacky, so the hell with it. Cute girl, but stupid. I don't know how she got so dumb. She was smart, but she just got so fucking dumb.
Oh god, I remember the video responses you made to her. Pretty Polly Pussy, that's how you call her?
Well, whatever. Yeah, I know I was probably horribly rude and mean and all that crap, but I was so disappointed. You know, I mean, she really isn't a dumb person. And you're just like, and she grew up with a bunch of Mormon lunatics, and so she should be impervious to that kind of bullshit. And she was talking like Matt, and it was like, what the fuck?
Well, it's just as bad now. She's giving this Einstein quote about beauty. Well, I'm not gonna say it. But anyway, the video was bad. I mean, it was like watching a epic battle between a T-Rex and a unicorn. It just was so freaking unfair.
Yeah.
Where's Pyro gone? Gary?
I don't know. Who cares? It's not the Pyro show. I'm getting kind of sick of you fucking people. Where's Pyro? Where's Pyro? Where's Pyro? Pyro, Pyro, Pyro. He'd be no one without me, you know. Pyro's only good as something for me to smash. He's the cockroach to my foot. Oh no. Yeah, let's have funny noise night. Oh, look at that big, giant, monstrous cat. It's huge among us. Yeah, it is big enough to hug. Yes, look at it, it's a lot of cat. Come on, people, we need a subject. Too tired to fucking do the subject thing and the talking thing. No, money is boring. Whales are stupid.
To invent a subject to talk about, there's nothing left to talk about.
Well, it is true. It's all over. It's done. We've done it all before. It's all just redundant. Fucking stupid. Really should just get to doing some serious work. Painting lesbians and such.
Yeah, that's a good one. Transhumanism. Where's the bandit gone?
Yeah, I saw somebody bring up transhumanism. Who the fuck was it? Somebody important. And I was really surprised. Who the hell was it? Can't remember, so I guess it don't matter. No, Chris doesn't have rape fantasy, you silly asshole. That's just too cliche. Maybe nightmares anyway, you dumbass.
That's coconut in them.
Yeah, well, what's to talk about the new reaction rating system? Yeah, what's the point of that? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, why did YouTube do that? So they get rid of the 5-star system to replace it with 5 dopey words. I mean, 5 silly words that describe almost nothing. Ouch? What does ouch mean? What does fucking ouch mean? What does what with a question mark mean? When do I click what with a question mark?
When you watch a Professor Anton video.
Well, then they should have a bullshit. You know, I want to just, you know, give me some real words.
That was when I watched my first hero video. I was like, what? That's a good word for it. I think it works.
Alright. Still don't think it's good. I think there's better, more descriptive words. Yeah, well, ouch sounds kind of negative. But I guess it's negative in a Facebook kind of way. Yes, exactly. Well, sorry about having to go back to work. That sucks. I thought your vacation would be longer. Damn.
That's right. They called me the fourth day too, the fourth fucker.
Yeah, well, that sucks. Alright. Well, till whenever and such and so forth and whatnot. Okay. Wink, wink. Wink, wink. Lost one of the women's. It's gonna be hard to go on without the woman's. Lost one of the women's. Only one left.
And I'm about to go too, because I have to go to my grandmother's Sunday.
Oh, how charming. She'll have a list for you. A list. Yay, a list.
She does do the list thing pretty good.
Yep.
Organized.
Anyway, that bird you showed didn't look all that bad. I think it'd be okay.
Well, the thing is, if she's really skinny, and I'm trying to fatten her up, but she doesn't really move her legs. So that's a problem, because she cannot fly if she cannot move her legs, so I will see how that develops. She started to like grab with her claws of the left foot, but that's about all she can do.
Ah. Yeah, well, yeah, you gotta fix that. But, hopefully it'll work out. Give her some breads. Breads are good. Birds like bread. You give her like a bug sandwich. That'll fatten her up. Alright, well, thank you and such. Sorry it was such idiots in this room tonight, but it's the way it turned out.
Well, it was okay. Coconuts and whales and Jupiter's cock and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get that one stuck in my head. No, I don't. But anyway, okey doke. I'm gonna pretend Jupiter is a frog. Yes, yeah, how much can a frog? A frog's not very intimidating. Frog cock. Yeah, can't even imagine one of those. Alright, till the next time and such. So, women's. we're fucking doomed now. But everybody can strip down to their underwear anyway. That's the good news.
I assume you've already got a head start.
I always like to be prepared. Who was talking? Pokemon or something? Totally insufficient microphone, whoever it was. Well, I think the rating system can be improved by having real words. So comedy is okay, so you get a funny, intelligent, informative, maybe. What else? Important. I think important would be a good one. They could even add words like, I just think they ought to have tags, built-in tags for videos that are better than the categories they have now. The categories they have now are stupid. I mean, obviously there's videos that are talking philosophy and videos that intend to be funny and videos that intend to be satire. And they ought to just be easy to categorize into those categories. And the player maybe should even change color depending on what the video is more like. So if it's more funny, it should be pink. And if it's more serious, it should be blue or something like that. Yeah, I mean, this seems kind of basic, philosophy's not that hard to have that, just to add that category, damn it. It seems like there's enough people talking philosophy on YouTube that they should have a category. There is, where is the woman? Not the one in the hat. God. I'm not drunk enough for that.
Gary, did you ever get into any of the Star Treks?
It sounds like Brett Keane. Did I ever get into any of the Star Treks? Yeah, well, the old Star Trek I like. When Vulcans were Vulcans and such.
About Generations?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Generations, you said?
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't watch that one. Wasn't that like Deep Space Nine or something? Or what? I hated all the newer Star Treks, actually. I hated all the whatever you call that. Yeah, well, Picard was an interesting character, blah blah blah, but the villains were insane. I hated the new generation things. The stories were stupid.
That's rough.
Well, I mean, it's rough, but whatever. I mean, yeah, the old Star Trek was lame, because the visuals were pretty bad. But come on, the stories were brilliant, generally speaking. But this whole idea of how you actually describe alien life is sort of interesting. The one that bothered me the most was that Contact movie, the Carl Sagan one, because I was really expecting, them to do something with this whole idea of what a meeting between us and an alien civilization would be, and he just pulled the same old card out. Well, we can't talk to you yet because you're still an egg, you're still a fetus. And it was just so stupid, it was just such a cop-out. And it was just an admission that even Carl Sagan couldn't think of a rational conversation that would take place between us and another civilization. The conversation would be the same damn thing. It would be like, you know, do you have any Grey Poupon? Yeah, well, Stargate was weird. I mean, the movie was okay, but yeah, I didn't really like the TV show much, so I didn't watch it much. So I can't say. I just watched so little of it. I can't say whether some of those storylines were good or not. I just couldn't. Just didn't have the patience for it.
What shows did you find interesting?
I don't know. These shows. Flintstones. I like the Flintstones. I like SpongeBob and like South Park. I just watched Terminator 2. I watched that today for no good reason. I just felt like watching something. And, well, I only watched half of it. I mean, I saw half of it and I watched the other half. I mean, I was on the phone. But anyway, yeah, it was a pretty good, damn good movie. That's all. Good movie. Oh, yeah, well, that Fairly Odd Parents thing is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I hated that shit.
Have you ever found any movies having to do with time travel interesting?
Well, interesting is an interesting word. You know, I mean, they all have value. I mean, you know, but none of it's very realistic. So yeah, I mean, I just can't, you know, you can't really go anywhere with it. There's so many movies that have, you know, they have value just for the their aesthetics. I remember there was some movie about some little kid who was like a robot kid or something, and I remember it ended with him underwater in, like, outside of Manhattan. I can't remember why he was underwater though. I just can't remember anything about that fucking movie, but just that it was a really weird fucking movie. So it was really interesting to watch. Daryl, yeah, that sounds like that might be it. It was just fucked up. I mean, it was futuristic, but it wasn't, and it had like these robots that were trying to kill people or something. I don't know. I can't remember anything. AI, was that it? Oh, I don't remember now. Maybe it was AI. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta find that movie just because it was interesting to watch, just because of the visuals. It was filmed well, but it was a stupid movie.
Have you ever seen the movie The Abyss?
Yeah, see, that one had some interesting pieces, but man, there was a lot of dead parts in that movie. And I don't really go for that chick much that was in that movie. It's just sort of annoying. And yeah, I really don't like the other guy in it either, Mr. Hero. Yeah, what can I say? The ending was pretty good. I mean, I thought the ending was okay. I mean, the ending before the very last bit of the ending. You know, the whole gotta go down and kill yourself thing, you get the bomb and all that, and he gets rescued by the aliens. That was okay. But yeah, it was kind of a boring movie.
Yeah, they had a long build-up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole idea of mini submarines having battles with each other was just kind of lame. I mean, it was just like, oh yeah, let's have bumper cars 10,000 leagues below the sea. It was just, you know, that was kind of silly.
Somebody down there mentioned K-Pax. Have you checked that out? I actually found that interesting.
I don't know, cave packs? I don't know, it sounds like a disease. Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of funny. That guy was really weird looking. I was saying to myself, well, why did they use him for the robot guy? Because who the hell would make a robot that fucking ugly? I mean, he was a little bit fucking ugly, you know what I mean? Giant nose and all that kind of... I mean, you know, not to get picky, but he wasn't very attractive. And it's like, why would you make a fucking robot that looked like that guy? Yeah, I mean, just... He'll be so un-robot-like. Yeah, if you make him really ugly, no one will think he's a robot. That's probably the answer. Nobody would be dumb enough to make a robot that ugly. Yeah, that makes sense.
After Karina or something.
Well, I could try some different topics if the movie thing is kind of dull for you.
I don't remember no fucking chipping a girl's head thing. Yeah, well, go ahead. Get a subject. Movie thing's okay. I just don't, you know, movies are just kind of movies. That doesn't make much sense.
I've noticed in a lot of your videos that you have a lot of creativity, especially with art and everything. Would you mind letting me know what inspired you to get into art in the first place?
Yeah, nothing inspired me. It's just one of those things, you know what I'm saying? You have a talent for it or you don't, kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. You know, I guess once you have some sort of proficiency at something, you say, well, let's see how far I can take that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not Michelangelo or something, but it's just the idea that you say, okay, I can do some of this, so then you work at it a little bit and you say, well, how good can I be at this? And then you say, okay, well, that's good enough. Or whatever that line is. But, yeah, I mean, it's sort of interesting to be able to do. I mean, it's a creative thing, you know what I mean? Once you can do something like that, you play with it now and then. Well, you know, with like music, right? You play a musical instrument, you play guitar and shit. Whoops, you play guitar and shit. And so it's just interesting just because you like to challenge yourself, you know, see if you can, you know, do this chord and do that thing and do this thing. And so, yeah, it's interesting just because it's sort of a, not necessarily a competition thing, but it's just a, you're just sort of encouraged to see if you can make something of it.
Is there a particular creature or scenery or character you like to draw mostly, or you just draw whenever you feel like it kind of deal?
Yeah, well, the old days I did lions and tigers a lot. I was really good at eagles, actually, which was kind of irritating because then the whole 9/11 thing happened. I said, fuck this shit. But I actually did quite a few eagles for military people. And I felt kind of bad about that in hindsight, those bastards. But yeah, you know, there's certain things that were just I happen to be good at, like elephants. I just happen to be good, you know, at elephants for whatever reason. So they were sort of fun to do.
Hey, Gary. Hey, man, what's going on, man?
I don't know. I guess stuff is probably going on. I guess it's like the atmosphere is like blowing in the wind and stuff, and the clouds are moving around and shit. And I don't know. Stuff happens. Very mysterious, I'm sure. Probably some unicorn behind it all. Probably blowing the little clouds around and shit. You never know when something will happen. It's all special and unique and fancy. The spook guy. You're always crazy. You're crazy. You're just crazy. But yeah, you have to debate Professor Anton so I can critique that debate.
Yeah, you got all pissed off at my comment there.
Well, I'll call it something lame, which I just thought kind of a cheap shot. I mean, we didn't organize it, we didn't think about it ahead of time. I mean, he basically suggested the idea, and like 20 minutes later, we were talking to each other. I mean, that's how fast it happened.
You're going to have another one at you from it, the way it sounded at the end of the video.
What did you say?
You're going to have another debate. It sounded like you're going to talk about the history of Christianity or something, in the Middle Ages, such.
Look, I'll talk to anybody anytime, so it's not, I'm not, I'd do 50 debates, but I don't know if he's going to do it again.
Well, I was wondering, what do you think, Gary? The opposite of your antinatalist argument would look like. I mean, if someone was to spill out an opposition in your own mind to your own argument, I mean, what do you think the best argument is to produce?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a hard sell because you have to actually find a purpose for us. So, yeah, I mean, certainly somebody could make an argument where they talked about, well, it's important for us to preserve intelligence because maybe there's a use for it in the universe. Maybe something does need to get done, and maybe it can be done because we preserved intelligence in the universe, or some kind of argument like that. So then you'd have some incentive to preserve at least our intelligence. As to preserving our human lifestyle, well, then you're into some sort of Vulcan question, okay? I mean, really, what is the point? I mean, we either decide to be dumb humans that just whack off, or we become like Vulcan or something that, yeah, is like mission-oriented. But I mean, is there really any kind of goal? And is there any way to do it in any kind of manner that's fail-safe? And I'm just going to argue that I don't think you're going to get rid of this human competitiveness thing. I don't think you're going to get rid of this misinterpretation thing where people will have all kinds of fucktarded notions about reality and decide to go to war with each other over them. So, I mean, you're going to have a real problem with violence in the future, resource allocation. I mean, you got some real big, monstrous things to resolve, and so you're either going to be very unfree people in the future, that have been totally stifled and conformed to live a particular kind of rat maze game, to play in a safe manner in your playpen. And if you're going to be and if you're going to have liberty, then you're going to be suspended by your own psychology. Then you're going to be like Vulcans, and you're going to be so disciplined that you're really not going to be having much fun anyway. So it's kind of like I said, it's hard for me to imagine what the argument would be because I'm still stuck with the what the fuck do we accomplish, which is absolutely nothing. We clean up the mess we make at best. That's when we're running perfectly, when we're functioning at perfection, we clean up the mess we make.
What do you think about religious ideology in terms of, just let me run this by you, but, living sloppily and painfully through until humanity comes up with longevity technology or, things to stop death, to feed us on a nugget of food each day, something that's very, very minor, like something about reanimation technology, resurrection technology. What I mean by this is a fantasy that technology is attempting to fulfill that aligns itself with biblical ideologies. Like, do you not think that that's the attempt of Western biblical trends? Is that not the goal? Is to bring about every genetic possible codacy.
I don't know. Does that mean anything though? I mean, people, they never had heaven described to them, right? And the Bible doesn't describe what heaven's like. So everybody's able to make up their own heaven. Some people, it's like, oh yeah, I get to sit with all the smart people in the universe and we all have, a nice chat forever or something. Or other people are saying, well, I go bowling every day. And other people are, well, I get to hug my little grandkids all day and play hopscotch or whatever the fuck they think it is. But I mean, everybody gets to just make up their utopia and say that's heaven. Because no one described what exactly you're going to do. I'm just saying it's a really hard sell for me personally to say, yeah, I mean, I understand the, penis vagina thing, but most of the rest of life, it seems a complete mystery to me. Like, what the fuck? Why would I want to do this every day over and over and over again? Better remember that. You gotta fix your microphone. Or you might fall on your laptop. What is she doing back here, sneaky bitch? Yeah, so they always are. You look charming.
Nothing better to do. I can't sleep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can sing you a lullaby. You should go to sleep now because you have to go to work. Work, 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 work. Work, 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 work for the evil man. You gotta go do your work now. Save for your pennies so you can buy the cat some food so it can get even fatter. That was a really bad song.
I enjoyed it.
I should have let the Spooker sing it. He could have done like operatic version. I couldn't believe he did that 10-hour opera of Professor Anton. I mean, that was incredible. I couldn't watch it all, but it was funny.
I just pulled it out my ass. It was just a win.
I could see you like painting a Professor Anton clown while singing "Send in the Clowns." That would have been like, oh yeah, that would have been perfect. Professor Anton with big clown feet. Yeah, that would be perfect. Yes, haunting him is another. That's a great phrase. We're the universe, haunting the universe as the other that once was separated by marriage, but twice removed is the nephew of the once was. As the universe turns. That's what it all comes down to, doesn't it? Let's just make the soap opera even bigger. Oh, that's it. It's as the universe turns. Yeah, well, they ought to just make mechanical babies. That'll solve the problem, right? Just make fake babies. They cry and they say, "Give me some food, you bitch." And you give them food and they say, "I love you unconditionally, even though you're a big, fat, smelly whore." It would be funny. You just have it say all those sweet nothings to these people, and that'd probably do the trick. All they need is something to say. Oh, you're marvelous. No, you don't look fat in spandex.
I thought it was so creepy that kids in our society, like, it's totally normal to buy little girls, like, these talking dolls that they have to feed and cuddle and, like, change their diaper or whatever. Like, if, I don't know, beeps or makes noises or something like that, like, they're being trained to be breeders.
Yeah, no, it really was disgusting. It really is horrible that they do that. But I'm speaking as the owner of 20 Tonka trucks. I had a whole fleet of trucks.
I Tonka trucks too. Real metal ones.
Yes, I like it.
What was that other thing? I want to say erector set, but that sounds weird.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very much erection for my set. Yes, but that's what it was called. It was really, the metal ones were erector sets, and then you had Tinker Toys, and that was sort of, you know, it was okay, but it was kind of lame. And then you had Lincoln Logs, which was super lame. Lincoln Logs was double super lame.
I still love toys.
I love to take them apart. I also liked pouring lighter fluid on them and melting them. That was my favorite thing to do with my train.
Gary, you mentioned that on you know, if we're going to be very advanced, it might look like the civilization is going to be more like Spock, like completely emotionless. The complete opposite of now. But what about a middle ground where we're in complete control of the, you know, of our wants and needs? So they're still there, but we use them to our advantage.
Well, I was just saying, how do you use them to your advantage? You know, there's no, they're competitive emotions. They're ego-based, which are all subjective. So it's all this I'm better than you shit. You even see it in the Spock characters. I mean, it really turned Spock into such an asshole in the last Star Trek movie. I mean, he was completely owned by a bunch of ego bullshit, and you're just like, what the hell is this? I mean, it's anti-Spock entirely. The whole Vulcan culture is turned to shit, so the whole fucking planet should be blown up because Vulcans are fake.
Did I ever tell you we have a city in Edmonton? Well, it's not a city, it's like a town, and it's called Vulcan, Alberta, and they have like a model of the Enterprise. They have a Star Trek museum. You can buy Spock ears at the so it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, they're building one of those in Jordan. Can you believe it? I guess the king of Jordan now, like who's married to the whatever princess, whatever her name is, who's whatever Hussein's son or daughter or whatever the hell that is. Well, anyway, he's apparently a Star Trek fan, so he's building like a Disney Star Trek or something. You know, the Wonderful World of Star Trek in Jordan. And you're just saying, how does that work? I mean, I know Jordan is fucked up. I mean, I know it's, you know, it kisses everybody's ass and it just plays the games and all that kind of shit. But isn't there enough wacky Muslims in Jordan that there's no fucking way they would let you put in, like, you know, Star Trek land in Jordan?
Places it's all about excess. Like I know in Dubai they have like the ski. It's like an indoor ski hill, I guess I would say. I don't know. It's fucking retarded. It's so wasteful.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just complete sellouts or whatever. Like, we just pretend to be Muslims, you know, and that's all. But, you know, it is weird.
Hey Gary, I was curious, could you, I mean, would you please tell me, like, what's your fist fighting history? What's your bone breaking history? You kind of mentioned stroke or something like that, but in terms of like body breakdown, what do you got there? What do you got for us?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I never had an accident like you did. But yeah, no, I never broke anything. But you know, I've had some pretty weird stuff. I had a blood clot in my leg when I smashed my leg on a fire hydrant. and that was pretty fucked up. I mean, yeah, I had the stroke thing, but that's like from a heart defect. So I did grow up with like this threat always hanging over my head. Like they always taking me to specialists. Like we'd always go to Canada every year. We'd stop in Boston because my grandparents lived there. So there's always these fancy pants doctors in Boston. So every 2 years I'd have to go to the fancy pants doctors, and they'd sit around in a circle and say, well, we could do exploratory surgery, and we could like stick a damn probe up his ass, and blah blah blah, you know, and they all come up with this bullshit, and it was like, you know, so there was always like this spooky specter over me, like if my heart murmur doesn't stop heart murmuring, you know, that I was going to have surgery. So, but anyway, so, but yeah, yeah, and I was in fights all the time when I was a kid. Yeah, I was in a lot of fights, and but I never broke anything. But I had about, I probably had 100 black eyes, probably. Well, 70. Yeah, something like that. It's a big number. I mean, it was, you know, it was like a regular event. I got sort of known for it, you know. Because every couple of weeks I'd have a black eye.
I asked that because I kind of, you know, when you're talking about being gnawed up by a lion, and you know, the idea of death and suffering to death, and how badly it would suck. I keep wondering about, you know, to what extent has your muscles or your bones gone through, you know, some form of carnage that you would say, I identify with what it might be like to have, you know, be gnawed at or pulled or torn, and make a comparison. Oh, this breakage, this tear might be similar to a lion's bite, or what exactly it is you're using subjectively as your notion of what kind of suffering it would take to go, you know, the unbearability of dying through.
Well, yeah, it's always weird because you really don't know what suffering is until you get a certain kind of it. You know what I mean? Like I always make this argument, like I didn't really know what pain was till I was about 30, and I had a certain thing happen to me, and I said, oh fuck, I really know what pain is now, because I really didn't know before, because this is like twice as bad as anything I've ever experienced. You know, this was like jump in front of a car bad. And but I had a taste of that, you know, as a kid. You know, I worked in these stupid, lousy, rotten jobs, and I really fucked up my back. And so, you know, having a bad back, I mean, that pain was just so, you know how it is. You know, I mean, a bad back pain will just completely fuck you. You're completely useless. And you know, just that, and so I always took that as just a taste of it. You know, like this is, you know, this is just a taste of what people go through. You know, and so that's sort of my standard, I guess. But it is kind of weird because you know, even though you think you know how bad something can be, you really don't know how bad it can get. I mean, you always say like, oh, I can't take it, and it can always get worse, you know, and that's the amazingly hideous part of the whole thing, is you really don't know how horrible it can actually get.
Okay, but now, I mean, so is a lot of the basis of your suffering argument based on the idea that you don't know how bad it would get, or do you ever feel like, I mean, I don't know what this incident was, but okay, like you said, it was a taste, but I guess what I'm getting at is I think that a lot of bone breaks, a lot of things that could bring people to like a really tragic death fairly quickly, not like jumping off a building, but maybe like being eaten by a bear or something like that, you know, is really awful, but I can't, I don't know, like a lot of rhetoric that you put behind it just seems more like about fear of it as opposed to.
Well, here's an example. Okay, I mean, I grew up, my father had been burned in a chemical accident, you know, badly. I mean, he was in the hospital for 2 years, and his whole body is covered in skin grafts. So that's, you know, and I saw how it compromised his life, okay? I mean, he'd never go outside without his shirt on or in shorts, you know, because his skin scared people. But he was lucky. His face was pretty much okay. They had to fix his lip a little, a couple of things, but he got away with it pretty unscathed in terms of his face being okay. But the rest of his body was just all skin grafts. Now I'm just thinking 2 years in a hospital, you know, having your skin torn off and layered back on other parts of your body, and I mean, it doesn't take much to say, holy fucking shit, 2 years in a hospital. I mean, you know, I was in a hospital for like, you know, 10 days when I had my appendix out, and it didn't go very well. And that was just 10 days. I mean, 2 fucking years. Or whatever, it's not just about pain, it's also just about, you know, all the emotional crap you go through. I mean, I've had times when I've been quite literally insane. My brain was totally unacceptably, I couldn't live inside my head. I mean, I just was going, I mean, you know, a crow could go call, and I would have pulled my head off. I mean, I was just so fucking vulnerable. And those were horrible, awful, you know, it isn't like it's all psychological pain. And even that can be, you know, incredibly unpleasant.
Sure. Well, yeah, because I like to dice and splice and empathize with arguments, and so when you talk about, or like that latest back and forth with Tool Time or whoever about the pigs dying, you know, you were going off about that big time, and I was just thinking.
But it's not just the dying. It's not the dying. It's the years they spend in a cage. So I mean, it's the torture first, and you just got to appreciate that. I mean, you know, even if I could give you a description of, like, say a 13-year-old girl is a cheerleader in high school and everything's wonderful, and she gets in a car accident, and she's trapped, and she's bleeding out, and it only takes 5 minutes. All right, it's 5 minutes of horrible pain and suffering, but it's only 5 minutes. Alright, so yeah, you could say to yourself, okay, well, it's only 5 minutes. It's awful, but it's only 5 fucking minutes. You know, what's worse? You know, 3 years of chemotherapy or 5 minutes in a car?
That's kind of my point, and well, here's my point about it, is I lived in New York for a summer, and then I came back to the West, right? And I remember coming across Colorado, and here's all these massive, beautiful green farms, kind of where Fred walks, you know, looks like that in England, except for it's all mountainous. And there's cattle being raised, and there's a nice farm, and they're being raised, and I can get out of my car, or, you know, out of the bus, or, you know, and people are feeding them grass, you know. I mean, these are the most docile, well taken care of animals as far as I can tell. I mean, it's nothing to do with the industrial farming, because I know what that is. I know the PETA rage. But I'm just saying, this animal, when it dies, goes to slaughter, is going to suffer, you know, a think, and it's going to drop, and it's probably going to feel itself being yanked apart, and then it's all over. And I'm just thinking, that's not nothing. That's not 3 years in chemo. That's not 5 years of bleeding there, 5 minutes of bleeding out. That's 30 seconds, you know.
It might be even less. It might be even less. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what does a cow really understand of death anyway? You know, does it really understand the concept of mortality and leaving this plane of consciousness and all that kind of crap? I don't think it does. So yeah, I mean, you can make this argument, but I'm just saying the typical miseries of life, and then you got to count. Well, yeah, okay, they cut its nuts off, and they do this and they do that. I mean, you know, you got to add up all the other crap that goes with that, and how much of their life has been compromised. Now, personally, I wouldn't want to be on this planet to be a food source for some other beastie, and they cut my nuts off. So maybe you would want to play that role, but I certainly wouldn't volunteer to play the role. Now, so I'm not going to say that's the worst of the animal industry. I'm just going to say it's still horrible exploitation imposed on sentient creatures for a selfish satisfaction. Other animals have it worse. That's why I don't bring up cows, I bring up pigs. I bring up a lot of other animals that are tortured. They don't live benign, peaceful pasture lives. They live horrible lives in dirty, filthy, awful conditions.
The beastly aspect, and it seems to me that your argument centers the majority of the thrust against whomever you're arguing is sourced from the suffering argument. Seems like that's the source, that's the nail's head, and yet there's this wide range of animal treatment down to the industrial pig slaughters, the really shitty, rotten quality of life farms. And I mean, I know they're there. I think everybody, a lot of people know they're there. But
well, you gotta understand though, those cows are still imposed. I mean, they get a lot of stuff imposed on them. Okay, they have little machines they put them in, they lock them down, and they shove shit up their asses. And like I said, most farms, you know, the males aren't going to be males anymore. So I mean, would that be acceptable to you? For the price of life, I'm going to cut your nuts off.
I'm not even certain what it means to try to say would it be acceptable to me. If I was a farm, I mean, would it be acceptable? Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it. Would you want that role as a consciousness? Would you want to just exist, to eat grass? You've been manufactured essentially genetically. You've lost all your character. You don't fight with the other men anymore. You don't play any natural role anymore. You're just engineered to be a fat, overweight fuckwit that chews grass all day so it can get fat to feed an alien, essentially. I mean, what's the dignity in that? Even as an animal, you're taking away. It's like pulling the teeth out of a shark. I mean, it's a kind of cruelty that even if it wasn't painful, it's cruel to its identity. It's cruel to what it should be.
Okay, like I'm a little physically fucked up now, right? And if I cross over and like take my situation as something equivalent to a cow having its nuts cut off and having a hand, well, I don't know, I was thinking about the breeding. The cows are bred by having the arm go up the ass and so forth. The discomforts of being raised on a farm, and I compare them to my own discomforts being human and sentient, I would still say I'm okay with the quality of my life. Now, I mean, it's like giving a dog a shitty haircut and letting it out with all the other dogs and going, oh, look how embarrassed Spot is in front of all the other dogs. Look at that stupid mohawk we gave him sideways, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I know, but
like
dogs have been bred. Dogs have been bred past that because they're basically emotionally subservient. So I mean, their emotions are now consistent with that behavior. But cows haven't been bred that way, and you're just, to me, it's a disgusting imposition. So I mean, you feel comfortable imposing. I don't.
I'm not saying I feel comfortable imposing. I'm saying that the cow without nuts probably doesn't know what it's missing. It doesn't have yeah, I know what you mean by it's not filling its natural role, but I mean, shit, running out on the fields with the rest of the...
Well, I mean, what part of life means anything? Again, like I said, it's almost like, you know, if you're gonna rob me of my passion, then life is stupid. But without passion, it's even stupider. I mean, if all you're going to turn me into is to a potato chip eater, then yeah, fucking please kill me. I might as well be a vegetable hooked up to the fucking machines in the fucking hospital.
Okay, but my counter isn't about the passion. And like I said, you seem like you narrow your argument to the suffering, and then that makes me go, to what extent does Gary empathize with the suffering that he senses other animals, that you sympathize? To what extent do you empathize, meaning that you've experienced with what it is you're sympathizing?
Well, I'm just saying none of it happens if we don't eat them. So the point is we've created their existence. So it's like saying you have a bunch of Frankensteins in a pen and you're saying, well, their quality of life isn't so bad because we've created enough of an environment for the little Frankensteins to play Frankenstein in. And I'm saying the whole thing is insidious. Leave the fucking sentience out of this nonsense. They're not even real animals anymore. You're creating a fake environment for them, and their quality of life is obviously marginal. So fuck this bullshit.
Quality of life is marginal, but if it's not sufferable, and at the end they die out less than 30 seconds, in the wild, they might die out a lot longer, right?
They won't exist in the wild. Again, you keep arguing as if they're going to exist anyway. No, they won't exist. So every bit of their suffering will be prevented. Every fucking nut cut off, every procedure that they've been imposed upon with since they were kids or whatever, every ear slicing, every tagging, every branding, every one of those pains and miseries will not need to exist. They don't need to exist.
Suffering to not, I'm following it. Okay, I'm following. I know what you're all saying now. I just, it's the empathy thing. Wanted to hear the empathy thing.
Well, like I said, it's a good point, because there's a point here where, I'm not arguing for the welfare of clams or something, because they don't have the brain power for it to be an issue. And the fact is that you can kill animals quickly and harmlessly and all that shit. You could sneak up behind them and whap their heads off without them knowing it ever happened. But still, the bottom line is their existence doesn't have to happen. And especially their overcrowded existence, and they're transported in trucks, and there's all kinds of stresses and discomforts. I mean, we could go to sheep. Sheep are treated horribly shabbily. I mean, they're treated like garbage.
Okay, so the idea that all the sentience could not exist. I mean, I know that's the drive. Let's slowly weed it out. You've laid out your argument, and that was half of my bullshit, by the way, is that you even go on, like, you've laid down your 4 rules, and you've done it for 4 years apparently, according to, you said somebody pulled out a 4-year video and said basically that's what you were saying 4 years ago, and I thought, so Gary's reiterated this for 4 years and slowly built a sub-base and a view base, and now grounded your quad philosophy, and now you're pushing it forward, and I'm like, okay, so what okay, now besides that, what are you doing? I mean, that was 4 years of time. What could be done in 4 years, your next 4 years? I'm just wondering, what are you going to do for the next 4 years? Are you just going to promote this idea, I'm kind of trying to enlarge the scale. I'm just curious of you now with the idea and the argument.
Yeah, well, there's some value to those 4 years. I have a lot of quotes in those videos. There's a lot of great phraseology and mood and atmosphere and all that crap, and maybe I can draw that into a book or draw that into future conversation. I mean, all of it's good practice. All of it makes you more articulate. Through each conversation, you become a little better at refining and making the argument more and more concise. So there's all benefit to that. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, obviously a big part of this is mastering other people's psychology, other people's barriers. And obviously my personality is horrible at that. So part of the next phase might be refining me as a messenger. I mean, maybe that'll be the biggest, the thing that needs to be improved the most is how I present the message.
Well, just a little anecdote, because I feel like I'm talking to you now and everyone else is just sideline listening, but like if this was just a phone call, and I'll just treat it like that, right? That Meridian Frost, who did the video that follows you around, right? The Shame of You video, right? I remember back in the day I was hanging out with him and Azri and I, and this is when I first figured out who Anton was, right? And Anton and I had a few go-arounds. And then you had popped on, and Anton was going to attack you. And I sent Anton messages and got Az to send him messages to the effect of let Gary go, like, don't attack this guy or you're going to get a shitload of wrath. Now, the reason I did that was because you were a seminal character on the tubes. And I mean, I'm just this guy, I'm just this blip, right? But I nonetheless throw it out like a don't go that way, because your character is what's important, the difference, the fact of. Well, I'm just letting you know that in terms of history, that I was trying to keep certain philosophical angles from coming at you prior to certain refinements. But I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you remember, you know, I've promoted their videos a couple of times where I said, hey, yeah, I like this Spook guy, and I kind of forget, you know, that I hate him. So it is kind of funny, you know, because, yeah, when you're talking right, you're talking good, but yeah, when you go wrong, you go way wrong. So, but yeah, and I got the same opinion about Azranok. You know, I mean, I like Azranok, but, you know, some of the shit he talks is just such bullshit. And now he's, like, so irrelevant just because, you know, now he's trying to be a, you know, YouTuber for money thing. And that's just, you know, that's nothing but bad.
I don't know what to say about my attitude towards things. Is, to me, I'm on, and I don't know where you think I'm off, but when I say stuff like people going after pain, people indulging in pain, like, I don't know, I have such a history of breakage of bones, and not very much a history of fighting, but more like a history of getting gang rolled, but more or less bone breaking and muscle tearing and that type of physical kind of thing that I'm not, like, to me, I just assumed everybody had it, but they don't have it. And so there's something about remembering it and re-engaging it or being open to it, like, whoa, shit, there goes the arm again. You know, it's like, and I'm realizing, like, okay, Gary doesn't have that, right? He doesn't have that. Some people might have that, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I've broken my spine 3 times. I've broken every bone from my elbow to my hands and my knees to my feet, and now my feet. And, you know, it's like, I'm just kind of used to that. And so I don't think that my perspective on pain or empathizing with pain, like, you got me nervous to empathize with pain because somehow you make me feel, you standardize or make a baseline for the argument of pain and keep reinforcing it and keep reiterating it to the point where it makes me think, like, wow, I guess my own experience should not be expressed, because he's going to think and put forth an idea of my irrationality to do this, where I'm thinking, God, these people get their ears cut and they mangle and they scar themselves ritualistically, right? And you're worried about a cow getting its ear snipped or getting branded. I don't know.
Well, whatever. It's not the top of my priorities. Like I said, I don't bring up the cow. I brought up the pig example. So how would you like to have a festering wound that's gnawing at you, irritating the hell out of you, and you can't do a damn thing about it? You can't turn, you can't scratch, you can't do anything. You just have to learn to let it just live inside your consciousness constantly. I mean, that could be incredibly irritating. I don't want to diminish anybody else's pain or say it's not real or it's not this, but I mean, I've seen people with, you know, migraines, and I've seen the fucking horror of it. I mean, just how bad it can get, where, you know, they can't go on the internet and they can't have a conversation and they can't be a sentient being anymore because their consciousness is completely absorbed by this horrific, harsh sensation. There is no consciousness anymore. There is consciousness of the pain, and nothing else will work. I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know, what's the argument? I can't defend any of that. I mean, I can't come up with this thing and say, okay, yeah, it's okay. Somebody goes through whatever, chemotherapy or whatever for a year. I mean, there's so many things that are just objectively horrible. I mean, how the fuck can I justify that? And you want to say I'm just talking about cows with a clipped ear. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not talking about puppies with thorns in their paw either.
I'm getting more like, it's more like kind of like beer. When I first had beer, like it tasted like shit, and then you acquire a taste for it. And then when I kick, but kind of like coffee, it's bitter still, but I drink it and then I love it. Or I'll smoke and I hate the way it smells, but I love the way it tastes and the ambience and all that.
Well, I'm
it's
sorry. I've had about 200 really bad days when my back disabled me, and I've never found it to be enjoyable, pleasurable, or irrelevant. Okay, it's been harshly unpleasant, absorbing, and I might as well have been dead that day, because that day was absolutely useless to me.
Wait, what were you referencing? Sorry, what you clipped out? What are you saying?
I'm saying this idea that somehow you accustom or acclimate to pain might work for you, but it's not been my experience. I'm saying that if I throw my back out, just because I've done it 200 times before, doesn't mean I find it any more comfortable. It's just as bad as it was the first time I threw my back out. It's really, really, really obnoxious. It makes you want to puke. The pain is so distracting.
Now I know, but what I'm getting at, see, and this is where I shut down, is because how do I now come in laterally and suggest the idea that pain, like smoking, you can inhale it and have it burn your lungs, but you enjoy maybe the smoke or some other aspect of it. Paints the day in a way. It even knowing that it's going to happen and then it's going to relieve, like knowing how the day's going to wave. Like some people have to get up and go to work. I get up, I have to go take narcotics, you know, and then it's like wow, now I know how the pain wave is going to go through the day, and it's like riding. It's got its own now new form that I gotta give it credit. I mean, it's my life, it's how I'm living with it, and so when I look at it like looking at smoke coming out of a pipe, and I look at my day that way, you know, it just happens to have bends of pain in it. I don't know like how to bring that up as a description without having somebody tell me that's just wrong. That's just bad psychology. That's just wrong-headed. Everyone must avoid pain. They must want to. They must. Yeah, and I know. And you know, one thing you did say, and you said it to Anton in a video, but to everybody, and it was that it was just what you said. If you lost all motivation, because I was in a nursing home, right? When you lose all motivation and you're just dead, and you got nothing else to live for, nothing else to look for in your future, you have no point to living anymore. And God, you know, like I know what you're saying, and you said it to the point where I thought he's lived it, or he knows someone that's lived it, or he's identified with it, and you're expressing it damn well. Well, I'm not there, right? I've tasted it, but I'm not there. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I'm just saying, if you're not to that point and I am, somehow it doesn't make my experience with pain anything other than what I say it is. You know, like, so I'll hear your story, but I don't jump in. I don't even try to jump in on that, because if I'm going to be met with that's fucking bullshit, or that's irrational, or that's nonsensical, then I'll start watching, like, Got That Funk, right? People that want to punch huge parts of their ear, or Tommy from the Bronx, where he's like, oh, I just got in a fist fight out front, you know, it's like somebody that's just kind of wading through something that was somewhat tragic, right? But you're swimming and walking through the woods and yelling about it, and I'm like, no, I gotta change channels and find somebody that's hurting. I watch a lot of cancer people now.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's all how it comes at you. So I don't know what, you know, how to metaphor it. You know, it's like you got to ride. It's like you can't just say every horse is the same, and breaking a horse is always the same, and you're all going to have the same experience when you try to do it. And it all depends on, you know, how you do what you're doing. You know, it all has to do with the circumstance and how it attacks you. Yeah, well, sorry about the diarrhea. That's a whole other subject, right? I mean, all those kind of blighty, horrible diseases that can attack you. You know, but yeah, the idea of suffering or misery or whatever is always going to be sort of a personal thing. And so yeah, but so I can't pass judgment. I'm just saying that from my own personal experience, like I said, I lived to be 30 years old without really knowing that pain could be twice as bad as I thought pain was. I mean, as bad as I thought I could feel twice as worse, you know, twice as bad. So maybe I could feel 4 times as bad. Maybe I could feel 8 times as bad. I mean, how bad does it get for some people? And what stops them from jumping in front of the car? I mean, I've been to that point where you're just sitting there saying, there's no choice. I have to go jump in front of the car now because I can't take this anymore. You know, but I didn't jump in front of the car. And so when I think about the people who have, you know, I'm just saying it gives me some respect.